So, guys, what I'm going to do today is going to be different than, well, I wouldn't say massively different than anything that I've done on here before. But I'm going to throw this out here and, see what type of bites I get. Um, depending on y'all's reception of this is going to be how I go forward with this. I kind of, if you see on the screen, you see what I got displayed there. What I have displayed is the Pathfinder Chronicle settings. I picked this book up and I was looking through it and I was like, wow, this is really well written. And it, it cost me, a good penny to be able to get my hands on it. And I was like, man, I would really love to put, this information out in segments. And so I contemplated it, and so I was like, but wait a minute, I was like, this is kind of a waste of time and everything because, I had such difficulty buying this. Um, what's the point of going through all this and everything if you guys can't get your hands on it yourself? So I went down there, and if you see down there where I have it, if you look in your Google search engine, there's the free PDF where you can get this book, the PDF. And so what I'm contemplating doing here is, and this is my test run here, is I'm going to go through and I'm going to read one of the races, depending on you got your reception of this is going to decide on whether I continue going through races and going through nations and stuff like that, and actually putting out the information. So you guys, let me know what you think. If you like, I'll do more of these and continue going through the races and stuff. If you don't like, then we only did one. Okay, so here we go. The Dwarves of Golorian are best known for their skills at mining and crafting, their fierce determination in combat, and their stoic, almost mirthless demeanor. Dwarves made their mark on the world with their magnificent castles and fortresses, but they fought and died endlessly over every last one, particularly in the wars with their ancient enemy, the orcs. Ever since the day they first emerged from the Darklands, from the frozen holdings of Lindhorn kings to the sun-baked shattered range, dwarves are Glorian's most diligent workers and steadfast defenders, a people devoted to toil and monotonous craft work, but equally driven by a potent urge to explore and discover. Dwarven history begins deep below the earth, where the first dwarves mined and smith under the watchful eye of Torag, the father of creation. In the late centuries of the Age of Darkness, following the dictum of a series of ancient mandates handed down from a prophet of Torag, a relentless subterranean migration of dwarves called the Quest for Sky scattered hordes of orcs and goblins in a series of genocidal wars. After several unsuccessful centuries of toiling ever upward to reach the surface in an era marked by increasing war, the dwarves lost sight of their goals and splintered into numerous factions. These factions expended much of their energy battling one another and their orcish foes, and spent little effort on the quest for Sky. After nearly 2 decades of these civil wars, and the great general Targik reunited the dwarves with skilled combination of diplomacy, plain speaking, and judicious use of military subjugation. Torgik declared himself king of the dwarves and named his kingdom Targath. Under Torgik's leadership, the dwarves completed their push to the surface and established themselves as custodians of civilization under the Golorian with the founding of the Sky Citadels. The 10 glorious Sky Citadels of the ancient dwarves still stand today, some in ruins, other inhabited all too briefly by their tragic architects. When the dwarves emerged upon Golorian, and they encountered numerous horrors of the Darklands they had driven before them, Targath battled its ancient foes for millennia. waxing and waning in power and influence as the centuries passed. Even as dwarven powers fluctuated, so too did the relative strength of the orcs and goblinoids. Unfortunately, for the dwarves, at a point of ebb in their strength, orcish power surged, leading to a vicious assault on the dwarven holdings. Under the overwhelming attack, the centralized government of Tar Targath collapsed, isolating the individual sky citadels and lesser cities across the world. Most strongholds survived the savage onslaught, notably Janderhof, and isolated Varissia in Highholm, along with the southern coast of Lake Incarthen, and the lairds of defeated citadels fled to the Highhelm in their shame, establishing the region around the mountains as seat of the Gathering Council, the governing body of far-flung dwarf kind that convenes every 2 centuries. Over the millennia, these conferences have grown more contentious and distrustful, with dwarves aligned to the ancient kingdoms, both living and dead, feeling increasingly ill at the ease with one another. The deposed monarchs of the fallen sky citadels established their ragtag clans and the craggy fastness of what became known as the Five Kings Mountain War, both among themselves and against the still extant orcs hoarding their borders, edged the dwarves toward decadence and defeat. After nearly 800 years of infighting, though, the Calistrocracy of Druma negotiated a hard bargain peace among the dwarves and with the Curse Accord. Despite the constant warring, dwarves look back on the era of the Five Kingdoms as the high point of dwarven civilization. In the millennium, the Five Kingdoms flourished. Dwarven engineering, art, and mining advanced or evolved more than in any other area of equal time. In the lifetime of the original Five Kingdoms, the dwarves carved into the Five Peaks the images of their founders, the least of which stands more than 250 feet tall. Dwarven perspective tends to change with the climate. The rosy-cheeked warrior scalds of Karlsgard and the lands of Lindhorn, kings and the squat, hairless contemplative of Oricians, oat caste, might share a common ancestral blood, but their cultures are strikingly different. In this era of human and gnome and even elven cultural influence, what it means to be a dwarf remains more fluid than ever before, and the whitebeards of the oldest dwarven halls fear this disparity as a sign of what is the impending extinction of dwarf society. Yet some aspects of the dwarven culture show little sign of changing. Smithing, fighting, and stronghold building have always been major parts of the dwarven society. Ever since Torag first breathed life into the earliest dwarves, the creator God's influence God's influence on the dwarven culture guides and drives all the dwarf society, and the most dwarves believe that should they ever slacken their efforts, Torag will abandon them. On average, dwarves stand about a foot shorter than humans and tend to be stockier than even the burliest half-orcs. They weigh about 100 pounds more than they appear due to their strong skeleton and tightly packed musculature. Most dwarves wear their hair long, and male dwarves pride themselves on the length and condition of their beards. Traditional festoon their beards in elaborate braids. Small battle trophies or beard commemorating important events in their lives. Shaving a dwarf's beard is a terrible insult to the dwarf, his ancestors, and the gods. Dwarf dress, as with all physical objects dwarves craft, favors function over form, but is never plain. Decorations serve practical purposes such as fasteners, padding, reinforcement of seams, or integration of pockets and tool-holding loops. The clothing of wealthy dwarves and those whose tools require a minimum of demanding physical labor, such as gem cutters and jewelry crafters, stretch the definition of functionality with some of their clothing. but even their fanciest outfits bear numerous pockets, loops, and attachment points, frequently made of gold, silver, or other soft but beautiful metals. While adventuring dwarves usually seem reserved and conservative to members of other races, they are seen at the home as impetuous youths, shirking wastrels. Dwarves tend to view other races as soft, weak, or even degenerate. Elves, for example, are weaklings who abandoned the world and allowed the Orcish dominion during the Age of Darkness, and half-orcs, the progeny of a race dwarves warred with for millennia before humans started counting years, are savage curs who need seeing to. No one holds a grudge like a dwarf. Even the most obstinate dwarf is capable of overcoming ancient prejudices to make exceptions for his battle tested friends, though the dwarves value friends higher even than the gems and gold that notoriously fuel their lust for adventure. Alright, guys, so that's dwarves for you. Um, give me some feedback. Tell me what you think, and if you want me to continue this, and we'll section by section. I will go through and we'll work our way through this whole book and everything. So you guys will have a reference guide if you ever need to go to it. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Once again, let me know what you think. All right.